Alright, guys, hello. I actually, there's a reason why I'm live today. I'm live because some grade nines are actually, they are crying and wailing and weeping. So if you have grade nine friends, if you have grade nine mates that are actually busy with integers at the moment, share the live with them so that they can actually come through and they participate in this live lesson. I think it will be worth their time. It will be worth their while. I think they will learn a lot, they will gain a lot, and hopefully we can learn together. So I hope you're good. I hope you're well. I hope everybody's great. Please double tap on the screen, guys. Let's get the the live. Let's like the live, guys, and let's get it out there. I think more people actually like the live. Ne? The more we can have people double tap on the screen and like the live, then it can push out. There are people who are on TikTok like at this time of the night and they're just watching aimless videos. So if they go through the live, right? If they go through a live, they will, the live will end up in their For You page and they'll have to actually pay attention and actually come through and be one with us. So yeah, guys, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for the people. Just send it out, share the live as much as you possibly can. And as I said, this is for grade nines that are busy with integers at the moment. Integers. We are doing grade 9 integers. Share it out, guys. Share it out. Let's share it out. Let's just see. I just want to see something here. Yeah, 14, 15. Yeah, let's yeah. So it's out. Let's calculate 15. Okay, okay, so I'm hoping that let's join, guys. Join. All right, join. All right, once the particular individual is here, hopefully we can just get this show on the road. Mixed operation with integers, multiply out the brackets and then simplify. Multiply out the brackets and then simplify. I think we're gonna look at that. Multiply out the brackets, then simplify. All right, let's back up a little bit here. Hopefully we've got all the relevant entities in the house, in the hizzles. As I said, guys, if you know of someone who's in grade 8 and 9, share this out, share the live out to the people that are relevant, and do so ASAP. Okay, let's get the show on the road. Let me remove this because it will serve no real purpose right now. So, effects. Okay. Alright, guys, so let us look at the following problems. Alright, guys, so we are dealing with mixed operations. The question here says multiply out the brackets and then simplify. Multiply out the brackets and then what? Simplify. Okay. So we are given, this is grade 9, guys. As I said, grade 9 integers. So we are given -4, all right, outside the bracket. And inside the bracket, we have 5a minus 6b. Close the bracket, okay? So what is this? This is an expression, okay? It's an algebraic expression. How many terms do we have? We have one term, okay? So this is a -4. This is a bracket minus 5a minus 6b. Inside this bracket, there's one term. This is a minus sign. The 6b is another term. And then we close the bracket. So what we are going to do here, guys, is that we can see there's a relationship between the -4 and the brackets. In maths, brackets mean multiply. All right, 2, that's 1. Then 2, we are going to apply the distributive property. All right, so in other words, this -4 is going to be distributed to the 5a. Okay, and then the same -4 is going to be distributed to -6b. Okay, so what we then say here is that a negative times a positive. Now, before I even jump there, we need to understand, guys, that with signs, the multiplication of signs, a negative times a negative will give us a positive. Okay, a positive times a positive will give us a positive. So this is to suggest that if we have two same signs multiplied, we get a positive. You see, negative times a negative, those are same signs. There are two of them. When we multiply them, we get a positive. A positive times a positive, those are two positive same signs, we get still a positive. But the minute you have a positive times a negative, these are different signs. So a positive times a negative gives us a negative, and also a negative times a positive gives us a negative. Okay, so this, guys, is very important for us to know. Okay, the multiplication of a negative and a negative gives us a positive. The multiplication of a positive times a positive gives us a positive. The multiplication of a positive times a negative gives us a negative. And the multiplication of a negative times a positive gives us a negative. Guys, this is grade 9. All right. And we are specifically here dealing with integers. Very different types of problems under integers and algebraic expressions. sort of like in the same vein. Okay, so it's very important that we understand the relationship of signs and the multiplication that comes about with the product of signs. A negative times a negative is a positive times a positive is a positive. So this suggests that same signs, okay, that are multiplied give you a positive. Okay, that is for an even number of signs multiplied, you will get a positive. So if they are the same, you are bound to get a positive. Okay, so if we have 6 negative signs multiplied together, you are bound to get a positive, because as long as it is an even number of negative signs, you will get a positive. A negative times a negative is giving you a positive. A positive times a positive gives you a positive. Okay, but the minute you change the signs, you know, different signs, a positive times a negative is a negative. Okay, so this multiplication of signs is something very important for you when you are doing integers. We need to know a negative times a negative is a positive. A positive times a positive is a positive. A positive times a negative is a negative, and then a negative times a positive is a negative. So understanding this about your signs is very important, because in maths we are constantly dealing with the signs of your numbers. Okay, so that's very important. So for multiplication this applies, and it's no different, guys, for division. A negative divided by a negative is also a positive. A positive divided by another positive is also a positive. Okay, so the same rules apply for division. Okay, then a negative divided by a positive is a negative, and vice versa. A positive divided by a negative is a negative. So our signs, guys, for multiplication and division, the multiplication and the division of signs results in the same outcome. Okay, because multiplication and division are inverse operations. Okay, so one more time, what am I saying? I'm saying if you take a negative, you multiply by a negative, you get a positive. If you take a positive divided by a positive, you still get a positive. But the minute you change the signs, a positive times a negative, you get a negative. A negative times a positive, you get a negative. Division, same thing. Your negative divided by a negative is a positive. A positive divided by a positive is a positive. A negative divided by a positive is a negative. And then a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So when we speak it out, we say same signs multiplied give us a positive. Same signs multiplied give us a positive. Same signs multiplied give us a positive. That's an even number of signs. But the minute we have different signs, we say different signs multiplied give us a negative. Different signs multiplied give us a negative. That is for two signs that are different multiplied together. So the same thing applies for division. Same signs divided give us a positive. Same signs divided give us a positive. Different signs divided give us a negative. Okay, so for multiplication and division, you are getting the same outcome. This is the fundamental concept here when it comes to this particular section of the work. All right, and I hope it's clear for all of us where those signs are concerned. Okay, thank you so much, Twarelo, for the what you might call the entourage of gifts. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So guys, I want us to come back to this problem, this one. Okay, so we have an expression here. Okay, and in this expression we have a negative 4 brackets 5a minus 6b close brackets. And so in this particular question, we are supposed to multiply out the bracket and then simplify it. So how do we go about that? All right, so you have a negative 4. The brackets that you have there are also intact, and inside you have 5a minus 6b. All right, so inside this bracket, because of the negative sign, you have what I call 2 terms inside the bracket. But outside the bracket, you have one number, which is negative 4. So what you're going to do is, first and foremost, the brackets you have there, they have a meaning in mathematics. Brackets in mathematics mean multiplication. Brackets in mathematics mean multiplication. 2, because you have one number outside the bracket and inside you have 2 terms, because terms are separated by a plus and a minus sign, and in this case it's a minus sign, we are going to apply a property of numbers which we refer to as the distributive property. So what happens is that this negative 4 is going to be distributed to 5a. Because of the bracket, we distribute it by multiplication over subtraction. So we are going to say negative 4 times 5a. Now when we do this, guys, I usually say to learners, think of the 3 letters which signify the 3 letters which you, in your television screen, whenever you see these letters, you ought not to watch these kinds of movies when you are watching TV. S and L is very dangerous when watching movies on the TV screen. You don't watch these kinds of movies. They are, you could say, practically forbidden. So what you do is you must understand that the S means sign. When you are applying the distributive property, you consider the multiplication of the signs. 2, when you distribute, you consider also the multiplication of the numbers. And then 3, when you distribute, if there are letters of the alphabet, you also consider the multiplication of those letters. What multiplication does is that it combines the sign, the number, and the letter together so that we have one term. So let's come here now and look at this. This negative 4, we are going to distribute it by multiplication because of the bracket to 5a. So what are we going to say? A negative sign times 5 is positive. A negative times a positive gives us what kind of sign? A negative times a positive gives us a. Now let's come here. Remember the multiplication of signs. A negative times a positive. We said that a negative times a positive gives us a negative sign. So I know that the sign is going to be negative. I have just accomplished multiplying the sign. I move on to the next thing, the number. So we have a 4 and we have a 5. Brackets mean multiply. So the question is, what is 4 times 5? 4 times 5 is 20. Okay, then we move on to the letter. L, the letter of the alphabet. The A is alone, so therefore the A is going to be combined with the number, that is negative 20a. So a negative 4 times the 5a gives us a negative 20a. How did I get that? Remember I said because of the bracket and the negative 4 being there, we multiply negative 4 with 5a, but when we do so, we multiply the sign. So we say a negative times a, 5 is positive. Negative times a positive gives us a negative sign. Remember, a negative times a positive gives us a negative sign. Then we move on to the number. What is 4 times 5? 4 times 5 is 20. So I have 20 there. Then the A, there's no other letter that basically would combine with a letter that's here. So we say A, we attach the A to the negative 20. So we get an answer of negative, that's the sign, 20, that's the number, A, that's the letter, multiplied and combined, giving us negative 20A. We then take this negative 4 and distribute it again to the negative 6B. When we do so, we still again consider what? The sign, the multiplication of the sign, N, the multiplication of the number, L, the multiplication of the letter, S and L. So what's a negative times a negative? Remember, our signs, a negative times a negative, same signs multiplied give us a positive. So a negative times a negative gives us a positive. Okay? Then we move on to the number. 4 times 6. What is 4 times 6? All right? From the sign, a negative times a negative, we got a positive sign. But what is 4 times 6? 4 times 6 gives us 24. Then the letter B. There's no letter here. There's just the letter B next to 6. So therefore we are going to attach B to the positive 24. And that basically is the answer. We then look at the two terms, negative 20A plus 24B. Can we add these two terms? No. We leave our answer at this stage. We cannot add these two terms together. Why? Because, guys, in expressions, we only add like terms. Negative 20A and 24B are what we call unlike terms. Why? Because the letters of the alphabet are different. Okay, so we do not add or subtract unlike terms. And maybe some of you are asking, what are unlike terms? Unlike terms are simply terms that possess different letters. All right? If the letters are different, we call those terms unlike terms. Or it could be that the letters are the same, but if the exponent of each letter are different, we also still regard those as unlike terms. We don't add unlike terms. We leave those terms as they are. Now, I don't know if Raising Three Queens has questions. I know your mother did a good job sending me gifts, so I appreciate it. I know that does come along with a request. Please do jump in, send your request in the comment section if there's something in particular that you'd like to actually ask or have clarified. Okay? Okay, let's move on to this one, guys. Okay, whilst Karabo gathers herself, then yeah, we'll wait for her to actually answer. Let's look at this expression. Okay, beautiful expression. Okay, we have negative 2, we have brackets, 15m inside the bracket, plus 3 brackets, negative 12m, another bracket. So now we look at this and we ask ourselves, how many terms do we have in this expression? Okay, now guys, the terms or the number of terms we have in this expression, there is 1, then there's a plus sign which separates, 2, okay, negative 2 and 15m in brackets, we regard that as one term, because when things are multiplied, they become 1. 3 and negative 12m in brackets, we regard this as one term. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to apply BODMAS. And when we think of BODMAS, we think of B brackets, O orders, meaning roots and exponents, which we don't have in this case, but we do have brackets, so we're going to start there with brackets. What's negative 2? Now brackets mean multiply. What's negative 2 times 15m? So we are going to apply S and L again, and we are going to say, what's a negative times a positive? What's a negative? Because this 2 is negative. 15 is positive. What is a negative times a positive? Let's go to our sign multiplication table. A negative times a positive gives us a negative. So a negative times a positive is a negative. Okay, this is grade 9 integers. Then we move on to, after taking care of the sign, we move on to the number. What's 2 times 15? 2 times 15 is 30. Then the m gets attached to the negative 30 that we've just calculated. Like I said, we start with the sign. Negative times a positive is a negative. We move on to n, the number. 2 times 15 is 30. Then we move on to the letter of the alphabet. There's just m, so the m gets attached to the sign and the number. We have negative 30m. Let's move on to this term now. This is 3, it's positive. This is 12, it's negative, and there's a bracket. Bracket means multiply. So we're going to multiply positive 3 with negative 12m. Let's start with the sign. A positive times a negative is a negative. Then we move on to the number. What is 3 times 12? 3 times 12 is 36. Then lastly, the m. We attach the m to the 36 because it is there. Now that we are at this stage, negative 30m minus 36m, we look at these two terms and we ask ourselves, do we have like terms? Do we have like terms? Now, if we look at the negative 30, it has m attached to it. We look at the negative 36, it has m attached to it. These two terms both have the letter m. All right, so that means these are like terms. Since they are like terms, what do? We add and subtract like terms, which means we are going to keep the letter m as it is, and we are going to subtract the exponent. Subtract the coefficients, meaning the numbers that come before the letter. So what is negative 30 minus 36? What is negative 30 minus 36? Guys, remember, when you are adding numbers that have the same sign, you hide the signs, you add the numbers. What's 30 plus 36? It is 66. Then you take the sign of those two numbers, which is negative. So in other words, the answer here is negative 66m. Hope you guys checked out my method there. I said, if you have a situation where it's adding two numbers that have the same signs, what you do is you hide the numbers. You hide the signs. So the negative and the negative would be in hiding. You add the two numbers. 30 plus 36 is 66. Then you take the sign of the original numbers. So the answer is negative 66m. All right. So that's that. Okay, that is that. Let's look at this problem. It says calculate. So here we have to use my famous, well-known songwriter and artist, Mr. BODMAS. Why do we need to use Mr. BODMAS here? It's because negative 18 plus 6 times negative 3, we have different operations in the actual expression. So remember BODMAS, what does it say? BODMAS is the strict order that we observe when we are given an expression with many operations. What does that strict order say? It says whenever we are given those, we always start with the brackets. Or the orders mean the exponents. We always follow with exponents and roots, if there are any. That's what O or orders mean. D, we follow it up with division. M, we always then multiply or follow it up with multiplication. A, addition. S, subtraction. So let's come here to this problem and see what can be done. So negative 18 plus 6, we can't really add these two because there's a multiplication. So what I'm going to say, I'm going to drop down the negative 18 so that it waits, and I'm going to go directly to 6, that is positive, multiplied by negative 3 in brackets. So now multiplication comes before the addition of 18, of negative 18 with what is there. So what are we going to focus on? We're going to start with the multiplication. It is the highest order of operations for BODMAS that exists. So we're going to write negative 18, and then we are going to say positive times a negative. Guys, what's a positive times a negative? Positive times a negative gives us a, go back to the table of signs, positive times a negative seems to be that one. Positive times a negative gives us a negative. So we're going to have a negative. What is 6 times 3? We move on to the number now. After dealing with the letter, positive times a negative is negative, we move on to the number. 6 times 3, that gives us 18 and negative 18. Now that we are at this stage, after having done multiplication, we can see that the only available operation now is subtraction. So we're going to say a negative 18 minus 18. What is a negative 18 minus 18? That gives us a negative 18 minus 18. Let's see if anyone in the comment section can help me out there. What's a negative 18 minus 18? Grade 8s and 9s. Grade 9s, come on. Grade 9s should be able to help me out here. What's a negative 18 minus 18? Ha! Negative 1. Hey, bana. More answer. Negative 1. Negative 36, some people say, plus 36, some people are saying 0 moto o negative 1. People, this is very hitting. Negative 18 minus 18, we are already there amongst the negative numbers. It's negative 18. Yeah, but that's what we're talking about. All we do now from that negative 18, we subtract 18. Guys, okay, the answer is negative 36. When you are subtracting numbers that have the same sign, negative and negative, what do? You hide the signs, both of them, hide them. Okay, and if you hide the two signs, it's like you are looking at 18 and 18. So you hide the signs, you add the numbers. So in your head, you're like, what's 18 plus 18? Because you've hidden the sign. 18 plus 18 is 36. Then you take the sign of those two numbers. So the answer would be negative 36. Oh, my dear children, use the calculator if you must. It is so sad when I see children writing an answer like negative 1 as negative 18 minus 18. No. Or you say negative 18 minus 18 is positive 36. No, guys. Okay, negative 18 minus 18. Okay, think of this as though you were on the number line. Let me just give you guys, let's here. Negative 18 would be here somewhere. Negative 19, negative 20, negative 21, negative 22. I just want to give you a picture. Negative 23, negative 24, negative 25, negative 25, negative 26, negative 27, negative 28, and so it goes. So if you have negative 18 here, you are saying negative 18. Let's just say it was negative 18 minus 5. Remember, negative 18 is here. So if you say minus 5, the direction in which you are going is you are going further to the negative side. So I would count 5 times to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So negative 18 minus 5 would be a typical answer of negative 23. So now if I'm saying negative 18 minus 18, remember that I'm counting 18 times in which direction? In the negative direction, my good people. So we are saying negative 19, negative 20, and we are going to count 18 times to the left. So we are eventually going to get to negative 36. So that's why I was saying to you guys, the shortcut to these, when you have the same signs, as I've been saying to you, if it is an addition of two numbers or a subtraction of two numbers, and those numbers have the same sign, this is negative 18 minus 18. The technique that we can use is that we hide the signs. So it's like when you hide the signs, this negative and this negative are gone. Then the second thing is you add the numbers. When you've hidden, you have 18 and 18. So you add those two numbers. What's 18 plus 18? 18 plus 18 is 36. Then you take the sign of those numbers. So you would put then next to that 36 that you had gotten a negative 36. That is your answer. All right. Please, please, please. We cannot mess up here at the end. Already we got a mark here for following BODMAS and multiplying 6 with negative 36. I mean 6 with negative 3, whilst keeping negative 18 here. So the negative 18 comes down. You are multiplying a positive times a negative. Why? Because there's a multiplication sign and there's a bracket. And we know what brackets mean. Brackets mean multiply. So you say positive 6 times negative 3. Your priority is to focus on multiplication first, according to BODMAS, before you focus on the coming subtraction that comes after that. Okay, then after the multiplication, after getting negative 18, you can then say negative 18 minus 18. What is the answer? It's negative 36. That would be your second mark. Are we together? Please guys, let's be careful. Let's come here now. Here's another BODMAS type of question. Here you have negative 12 plus 14 divided by bracket negative 7 plus 28 divided by 4. So once again, we are going to look at who BODMAS. Okay, when we look at BODMAS, we are going to say, okay, do we have any brackets? Well, we do. Can we solve anything inside this bracket? No, we can't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave brackets and go to orders. What are orders? Exponents and roots. Now I don't have any roots and evident exponents in this particular problem. I move on to division. So do I have division here? Yes, I do. There's division there and there's division here. So my focus then is going to be me starting with division, because according to BODMAS, no B, no O, D is there. So we start with D. So what I'm going to say is that this negative 12 you see here at the beginning, I'm going to write it down. Then I'm going to come here. This is a 14, it's positive. I'm going to divide it by negative 7. So here, this division is saying positive 14 divided by negative 7. So I'm going to start, when I divide, with the sign, follow it up with the number. If the letter was there, I would also multiply by the letter. SNL. sign number letter, S and L, sign number letter, S and L, right? So positive divided by negative. This 14 is positive, guys. So that's why I say positive divided by negative. Let's go to the division sign rules. A positive, guys, divided by a negative. What does a positive divided by a negative give us? Who does a positive divided by a negative give us? A positive divided by a negative gives us a negative sign. I'm done with the sign. Now it's time to move on to the number. What is 14 divided by 7? Come on, guys, in the comment section, help me out here. What is 14 divided by 7? Speak. Yes, thank you. 14. Thank you. So once again, positive divided by negative is negative. 14 divided by 7 is 2. So I have a negative 2. Let's move on. We are done with this division. Let's move on. There is another division here that we can do. So what do we say? A positive divided by another positive. So let's go. What is a positive divided by another positive? Because this 28 is a positive. This 4 is a positive. What is a positive divided by a positive? It is a positive. So we're going to write a positive sign here. So the sign, we are done. What about the number? 28 divided by 4. Yes, Kibelam comma, it is 7. 28 divided by 4, it is 7. Sign and number, done. There's no letter, so that's why we don't write L at the end. Sign, number, letter, positive 7. Now guys, look at what you have now in your problem. You have negative 12 minus 2 plus 7. What is that? After division, you check if there's multiplication. There's none. Then the last thing you check is addition and subtraction. You can see, guys, those are the only things that are left. And whether you start with subtraction or addition, it doesn't matter. Remember, addition and subtraction, they are inverse operations. They kind of obviously hold the same priority. So you are going to say negative 12 minus 2. Guys, remember, negative 12 minus 2. What did I say? You hide the signs. You add the numbers, you get 14. You take the sign of the numbers. That gives you negative 14. Plus what? Plus 7. Then all you do is say negative 14 plus 7. Negative 14 plus 7. Guys, you saw almost. You hide the sign. You say big number minus small number. It gives you 7. You take the sign of the bigger number. It's negative 7. That is the answer. I repeat, when the signs are different and you are adding, guys, you hide the signs. You say big number minus small number. You get 7. Then you take the sign of the bigger number. It's negative 7. So it is negative 7. The answer there for our question. BODMAS was easy there. See that BODMAS? Very nice and smooth, that BODMAS. Don't mess around. Okay, so please, guys, let us not forget BODMAS. We start and work in the order of BODMAS so that we can be happy, we can celebrate, there can be joy. Let's move on. We are moving on to a simplified question there. You see, and we would get marks here. 1, 2, 3, 4. What a confidence booster. Sing, sing, sing. Okay. It's a big confidence booster. BODMAS taken care of just like that. Okay, let's go and move on here. Simplify. We have 12a into 4a minus 6b plus 9b into 8a minus 4. So we have an algebraic expression here. So what are we going to do? We are going to first ask ourselves, how many terms in the expression? Very important, that question. How many terms in the expression? So we can see that there is 1, okay? The plus sign will separate 2, okay? Brackets combine, okay? Whilst plus and minus separate. So even though there's a minus sign here, it's the minus sign which separates the terms inside the bracket. But with the 12a with the 4a minus b, the bracket means multiplication with 12a. The bracket means this 4a minus 6b is 1. So this is one term, then the plus sign separates. This is my second term. All right. Then what we are going to do here is that after asking how many terms there are, we are going to look at each individual term and we are going to look at what we see. There is 12a here. There are brackets. There is a 4a minus 6b. So we are going to say brackets mean multiply. And we are going to apply what we call the distributive law. We take 12a, we distribute it to 4a. Because of the brackets, when we distribute it, we multiply 12a with 4a. Then we take 12a, we distribute it to the 6b that is negative. This is the distributive law of multiplication over subtraction. Very important. I repeat, the distributive law of multiplication. Let's stop there. Of multiplication. So we're going to take this 12a and multiply it to 4a. What is 12a times 4a? Remember, when we multiply the sign, the number, the letter. Remember these signs in the movies, guys. Don't watch these movies. So every time you see these signs in movies, okay, bad movies, but when you see them, remember, S, sign, you multiply the signs. N, number, you multiply the number. L, letter, you multiply the letters of the alphabet. So positive times a positive gives you a positive answer. Okay? Then we move on to the number. 12 times 4 gives you 48. That's the number. We move on to the letter. A times A. Now, in our laws of exponents, we know that if we are multiplying same bases, we must keep the base and then add the exponents. This A has the exponent 1. It is invisible, just like God and the Holy Spirit, but it is there and present. This 4a also has an exponent 1. It is invisible, just like God and the Holy Spirit. So what we do then is we say a times a. We are going to keep the base. Then we do what with the exponents when multiplying same letter bases? We keep the base, we add the exponents. So 1 plus 1 is 1 plus 1 is 1 plus 1 is 1 plus 1 is, you know what I mean there, 12a times negative 6b. 12a times negative 6b. Now we are distributing over subtraction. Distributive law of multiplication over subtraction. So we are going to multiply sign, number, letter again. What's a positive times a negative? It is negative. What is 12 times 6? We're multiplying the numbers now. 12 times 6, it is 72. What is A times B? The letters are different, so in algebra, we simply combine the two letters together and they become one. So the answer is negative 72 AB. We are done distributing 12A to these two terms inside this bracket. We are going to move on now to 9B. Do the same thing to 9B by asking, sign positive times a positive is a positive. Sign has been taken care of. We move on to the number. What is 9 times 8? 9 times 8 is 72. We move on to the letters. What is B times A? We can write in alphabetical order AB. Because whether you write BA or AB, that is the same thing. Because in multiplication, there's a law that we call the commutative law for multiplication. The order in which you place B and A for multiplication does not matter. It means the same thing. Then we're now going to distribute 9B to negative 4. 9B we are going to distribute to negative. What is a positive times a negative? It is a negative. What is 9? Now we are moving on to the number. We started with the sign positive times a negative, negative. We move on to the number. 9 times 4 is 36. Then we move on to the letter. B times, there's no other letter, means that is B. Okay. Now, remember that 48, 1 plus 1 is 2. Snoko. Yeah, you know what I mean, mas 48a squared minus, now, negative 72ab plus 72ab. These two terms are like terms. These two terms are like terms. And the rule says we can add and subtract like terms. So what is negative 72 AB plus 72 AB? Okay, that is equal to 0. Okay, remember guys, when there are like terms which have different signs, we say 72 minus 72, which gives us 0. All right, that is 0. 0AB, which is 0. So the only thing we write now is that last term, which is 36b. 48a squared minus 36b. That is our answer, grade 9, for simplifying this expression. And all we did was use the distributive law. Then, when we distribute by multiplication, we consider the multiplication of the sign, the number, the letter. And then after so doing, we check if there's any like terms. We add and subtract like terms when they do appear. And that's that. Okay, next question. Negative 2a times 4b in brackets minus brackets minus 12a times 6b. Okay, so once again we are going to ask the important question, how many terms in the expression? So we go straight, we see the bracket that makes it one term, there's a minus sign that separates. We have minus 12a times 6b inside the brackets. So in all, we have how many terms? 1 minus sign 2. But what does BODMAS say? BODMAS says brackets we start with brackets. Now, if we look inside the brackets, are there things that we can do? Yes, definitely there are. So we have a bracket, and inside the bracket, there is multiplication. And we know that multiplication needs to be multiplied by considering sign, number, letter. So let's go. What's a negative 2 times a positive 4? The sign, definitely going to be negative. 2 times 4, the number, 8. And then the letter, A times B. That is A, B combined. Not even funny, no joke. The minus sign, we still put in there for now, in between, and then we come inside and address the multiplication inside the brackets, because at the moment, inside the brackets, there are things that can be done as far as multiplication is concerned. That's why we are focusing on that. So we are going to say a negative, start with the sign, a negative times a positive. So inside that bracket, we're going to have a negative. We move on to the number, 12 times 6. 12 times 6 is 72. Then we move on to the letter, A times B. We combine the letter to become AB. So that means brackets, done, finished, klar. We move on. O, orders, meaning exponents and roots, there's nothing. Orders and exponents, we don't have. Division, no division. Multiplication, hell yeah. Because remember the negative sign here. What do brackets mean in maths as far as this negative and that negative is concerned? Brackets mean multiply. So I know there's a multiplication that needs to take place between this negative and that negative. So let us go ahead and write negative 8ab, and negative times another negative gives us a positive, which will allow me now to remove these brackets. So I get a positive 72 AB. All right. And at this stage, guys, as I said, you can use your calculator for the numbers. All right. I know that these are negative 8ab plus 72aab. These are like terms. And we know that when we add and subtract like terms, we keep the letters of the alphabet. AB is going to be there. And we add or subtract the coefficients, the numbers. Guys, we call the numbers before a particular letter the coefficients. So we are going to say negative 8 plus 72. In other words, what is 72 minus 8? You may ask yourself that question a bit differently. 72 minus 8, that gives you, let me wait for you guys to tell me in the comment section. What is 72 minus 8? Or what is negative 8 plus 72? Guys, when the signs are different, okay, big number minus small number, that will give you 64. Then you take the sign of the bigger number, so it is 64 AB, not negative, guys. Some of you are saying negative. All right. Some of you are saying negative. And this is so hurting. Finding myself having a broken heart here. some of you are really writing answers that you ought not to be writing. Sure? No, guys, man. 64 AB. Okay. So imagine this would have a mark. That would have a mark. The sign being resolved in the middle there would definitely have a mark. And then our final answer would have a mark. Okay. So please, guys, some of you are really struggling with adding the coefficients of the given numbers. That is going to be a problem. We cannot have this problem persist. Okay. Please, my people, I beg you, do not muni bajaz like this. I beg you. Okay. Muni bajaz, no? Okay. Be careful. Be careful. Be careful, please. Be careful. Be careful, please. Okay, let's look at this question. Y into negative y squared. Okay, so once again, who are we going to think of when we are looking at this problem and possibly getting it simplified? We need to think of Mr. BODMAS, because we are told to simplify here. But Mr. BODMAS must be priority here. Okay, we have a bracket, and even more than that, we have orders. In other words, we have exponents. So that's where our priority needs to lie, the bracket with its exponent. So we are going to write y, and it can wait and chill for now. Let's come here. This is a negative y. It's raised to the power 2 outside the bracket. So this is an even exponent. When we apply a even exponent to a negative sign, what happens? When we apply a even exponent to a negative sign, what happens to the negative sign? I want you guys to tell me, if there's an even exponent and it's outside the bracket, the even exponent is around everything inside. If you apply the even exponent to a negative sign, what happens to it, guys? What happens to the negative sign? Does it stay the same or does it change? It changing means it becomes positive, but it staying the same means it remains negative. And I'm talking about when the exponent that is even is outside the bracket. What happens to the negative sign? Yes, Tobile says positive. Please, guys, let us take this to heart. When you apply a even exponent to a negative sign, yes, this exponent you must apply to the sign, to the number, and to the letter that is inside the bracket. Okay, if there is a single term with a sign, number, letter combined together, and external to the exponent as an even exponent or any other exponent, you apply that exponent to the sign, the number, and the letter. So when you apply this exponent 2, which is even, to a negative sign, yes, it becomes positive. You apply the y squared to y, the squared to y, it becomes 1 times 2 in the exponent, which is y squared. Okay, so there's the first mark. You actually writing a positive y squared. Then the next mark is, what do brackets mean? We've been saying this for some time now. I'm sure you guys are so sick of it. What do brackets mean in mathematics? Brackets in maths mean thank you, soft Jackie Play Masejo. Brackets mean multiply. So we're going to say y times y squared. When we are multiplying same bases, okay, there is an indivisible exponent there of 1. Let's not forget that. Okay, so we're going to say we keep the base, we add the exponents. So our final answer here is y to the power 3. Okay, nice marks, guys. Nice marks. Like, yo guys, nice marks. Let's come here. I hope you guys understood. Tell me in the comment section if you guys get this and you are fine with it. Okay, you guys are so quiet. Like, I'm scared. You guys are just quiet. You're not really participating or letting me know, unless you know I tend to wait for a very long time, then someone will answer. You good, soft. You're soft and good, eh? Okay, that's fine. Let's move on to the next question then. Toby is also good. Are you guys in grade 9, by the way, or what? Grade 8, grade 9? Are you guys there or what? Okay, let's look at this one. 2x brackets 3x minus 3x brackets minus 2x. Soft is in grade 12. What are you? Oh, Francois Vissa is in grade 9. Okay, no, it's fine. Soft is wanting to be soft with the problems. No problem. Toby, let's CLC. CLC meaning? College. Hey, 2x into 3x minus 3x into negative 2x. The questions you ask yourself first is, how many terms in the expression? That helps a lot, guys, to ask yourself that question. How many terms do you have in your given expression? So there's 2x into 3x. Okay, the bracket combines. Multiplication means one term. Minus, that separates. 3x into minus 2x. Brackets, multiplication, one term. But then, according to who? BODMAS. Who are we going to start with? Focus on Mr. Brackets. Inside each bracket, guys, there's nothing that can be done. So we are going to then look at 2x in relation to the 3x, negative 3x in relation to negative 2x. And we directly go to M for multiplication, because it's not the brackets B that we are looking at here. We are looking at multiplication specifically because the brackets mean multiply. Okay, so let us then proceed. 2x brackets mean multiply, so we can take care of the multiplication, and then the subtraction or addition can take care of itself later, because addition and subtraction come after multiplication. Multiplication is the priority right now. So what's 2x times 3x? Remember, when you multiply, you consider those letters in the movie, the ones that are funny. Not those ones. S means sign, N means number, L means letter. So when you multiply, we consider all of that. 2 is positive, 3 is positive, a positive times a positive gives us a positive answer. We move on to the number. 2 times 3. What's 2 times 3? Is 6. Letter, x times x. What's x times x? Remember, we keep the base for x when we are multiplying. There's an invisible exponent, 1 and 1. And what does Snoggo tell us, guys? 1 plus 1 is, we know what Snoggo says. So the exponent is going to be, you know what I mean? Then let's move on. Negative 3x, we're dealing with the multiplication, times another negative 2x. And negative times a negative, we know the sign. 3 times 2, we know the number. X times x, we know what Snoggo says in the song. Okay, and then finally we have addition now after having multiplied. So the addition, we see that these are like terms, so we keep the variable with its exponent. we add the coefficient. What's 6 plus 6? It's 12. So our final answer is 12x squared. Okay, take it in, take it in, take it in. Is it making sense? Is it making sense? Is it senseful? Okay, here's one for the books. Okay, I'm just gonna rewrite it. 3b into 2c minus 3d minus 6c into b plus d plus 3d into b plus c. Once again, the grand jury is saying we need to simplify. So what do we see? We ask ourselves the famous question, how many terms in the expression? That question that we ask helps a lot. How many terms? Okay, so how many terms in the expression? We have 1, 2, 3. 3 terms, guys, because brackets 1 minus brackets 2 plus brackets 3. So BODMAS, we can see a term, 2 terms inside, a term, 2 terms inside, a term, 2 terms inside. So we are going to apply Mr. Distributive Law. Okay, sign, number, letter. Positive times a positive is positive. 3 times 2 is 6. B times C, BC. 3b times a negative, 3d. So once again, positive times a negative, negative. 3 times 3, 9. B times D, BD. Negative 6c, we do the same thing. There's a bracket, monomial by binomial, sign, number, letter. Negative times a positive, negative. 6 times 1, 6. C times B, BC. Same thing, negative 6 times D. Sign, number, letter, sign. Negative times a positive, negative. 6 times 1, 6, and then C times D, CD. So something to note here, guys, is that the sign as well gets multiplied. I don't leave the sign behind, okay, as I multiply inside these terms. Okay, so whatever the sign of the coefficient for the outside value, or or the coefficient with its variable is, you make sure that you distribute all of that inside the bracket. Let's look at this last term. 3d into B plus C. A positive times a positive is positive. 3 times 1 is 3. D times B, B, D. Okay. And then last but not least, a positive times a positive is positive. 3 times 1 is 3. D times C, CD. Okay. Now, after getting all the terms, my next beautiful step then is doing what, guys? What do I do next? Like terms, guys. Time to collect your favorite friend. So BC is friends with BC. There's no other thing with BC. So 6BC minus 6BC. Okay, what does 6BC minus 6BC give us? Comment section, please let me know. Thank you, Tobile. Thank you, Gonze. Gonze. Sorry, I said Gonze. I'm sorry there. If I'm saying it wrong, I'm very sorry. 6BC minus 6BC is 0, guys. So we have 0 there. So those are gone. 9 negative 9BD plus 3BD negative 9BD plus 3BD. What do we get? Negative 9BD plus 3BD. We definitely know that BD is going to be there. The question is, what is the number? What's a negative 9 plus 3? Okay. Honze, very good. Negative 6. Okay, well said. Negative 6. We are done with BD. Okay. So sometimes I know that I do this just so that we know, we know who's the like term with who. Okay. 6BC minus 6BC, that's 0. Negative 9BD plus 3BD, that's negative 6BD, that's 100% correct. Then you look at negative 6CD plus 3CD. What's the answer there? We definitely know that the CD is going to be there. The question is, what will be the number? Negative 6 plus 3, that gives us yes, Khonsi. Thank you, Tobin. And you know that there are no like terms here because CD and BD, though they have D, both of them, the reality is that they are not like terms. So we cannot add and subtract unlike terms. So we leave it there. Okay. I hope you guys are clear. Okay, let's look at some general integer type questions with roots, surds, and exponents so that we can just be clear and familiar with what needs to be done when we're dealing with situations such as those. Okay. Negative what? Negative 8 squared. That means if we want to simplify and calculate, or calculate and simplify, So negative 8 squared gives us this, right? A negative 64. Because the negative sign does not go anywhere. You apply square to 8, that will give you 64. So the answer here is negative 64. Plus, look at this one. Negative 2 squared. An even number or even exponent in brackets. Okay. Applied to negative 2 in brackets. That becomes what? If the even exponent affects the negative sign, it becomes positive. This then becomes 2 squared, which is actually equal to 4, which then gives us negative 64 plus 4. What is negative 64 plus 4? Let's see who can find out what negative 64 plus 4. Be careful, Juanse. Okay. He possesses the biggest sign. Oh, sorry, that is the biggest. Without the sign, that possesses basically, that's the sign of the bigger number. So we hide the sign. Let's say big minus small, 64 minus 4, you get 60. You take the sign of the bigger number. So it's negative 60. Okay. Let's just understand the difference, guys. Minus 56, how? How are you getting minus 56? Near sky G. Even exponent to a negative sign. The bracket, if you apply the even exponent to the negative sign, it becomes, and then what's the answer there at the top? Very good, the m. Apply the even exponent to the negative sign, becomes positive. 9 squared over negative 9. 81 over negative 9. What's 81 divided by negative 9? It's positive 9. I'm kidding, guys. How can you accept that? It's not positive. A positive divided by negative is a negative. 81 divided by 9 is 9. Okay. So the proper answer, negative 9. Yeah. Okay. Tsepo, are you still here? I think I'm exhausted. I think we get the point, right? Okay. So yeah, I think we get the point. Okay, let's look at this one.